In this video, we're going to create a Lego brick, and we're going to use certain parameters that will make it easier to change the brick to different sizes by just changing three variables: the number of rows, the number of columns, and the height of the brick. And we will do some other Lego projects parts later on too as well, and create some assemblies. But before I get started, I want you to recognize that I've created a folder called Lego Mania. And we're going to be able to share files with one another to make some interesting projects. So we're going to kind of work as a team in some way. But before I do, Legos are created in metric. So we're going to be opening metric drawings, get you some experience in metric. So if you come over here to your account where it has your name and you go to My Accounts, we're going to set it to default to be metric. So every time it is opened, it will be metric. And we're going to come down here to where it says Preferences. And we're going to scroll down to where we have units. You're going to change this to units, to millimeters. And you have inches per square second squared. We're going to change it to meters per second squared. You also have a density in grams per centimeter squared. We're going to leave it at that. We're going to have the force in newtons and newton meters, Pascal, joules, and so forth. So the rest of it will remain the same. We are going to change the millimeters just to 1 decimal place. We'll rarely use 1, but we will put 1 in there so that there is 1 decimal place. Once you have done this, be sure to save your changes. So from now on, when you start a drawing, it is going to be in metric. So let's go back to Onshape. Now, if you need to start something in English, you can simply go to create a document, which we're going to do. And I'm going to title it 2 by 4. That's going to be 2 rows, 2 columns, vertical columns, 4 rows, horizontal rows, and 3 will be height. The height of the plate will be 1, and a brick is 3 times the height of the plate. We're going to put a color in there, and we're going to call it brick. So we're going to name it 2 by 4 by 3 blue brick. And you're going to put your initials in there. Once you have done that, it is going into the Lego Mania folder. So we will go ahead and create. Now, as I mentioned, if you are making something else and you want to tentatively change it to inches, you can come up here and go to Unit, Workspace Units, and change it here and go back to English. But for right now, we're going to leave it in metric. This will only change it for the current drawing, not all the others. And it won't change previous drawings that you have made either. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a part. So I'm going to create a sketch, and I'm going to use on the top and build up from there. So we're going to sketch on this top plane. But before we do, I want to set some variables in here. So we're not going to start the sketch yet. Come over here to Search Tools. And when you click on Search Tools, we don't have anything yet. But if you begin to type in variables, you will see the word come up, variables. And we're going to create some user variables. So we're going to create 3 of them. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And the name of this variable will be rows. So ROWS. It will only be a number of rows. And remember, the rows are going to be horizontal, so we're going to set that at 4. And I'm going to put a brief description in here, and I'll just call it the number of rows. And we will check that. So now we have a variable in here before we've started anything. And I want to go ahead and create another variable. Since I already created one, it's going to show up so I don't have to type in anything. And we're going to call it as columns. And this also will be a number. And we're going to set it to 2. So that's going to be the vertical size of it. And I'm going to go ahead and put in here a description. And we will go ahead and click the check mark. So there is our second variable, and we're going to use that in formulas. I'm going to go ahead and create a third variable. And since I already have it, used it recently, I don't have to type in variable, and we'll find it. And this will be the height. So I'm going to type in height. This also will be a number, and we're going to set this to 3. So it's going to be 3 times the plate. A plate is going to be 3.2 millimeters, and the brick is going to be 9.6. Okay, and I'll put a brief definition in here. The height of the brick. All right, so once we have done that, I'm going to go ahead and create a sketch on this top view. And I'm going to go ahead and look at the top view. And I'm making sure it reads top. And we have the origin here. And I'm going to draw in the upper right quadrant. So it's going to be important to keep our orientation correct. And this first one is just simply going to be a rectangle. So I'm going to start at the origin. Make sure it's coincident to the origin. Left click and bring up a size here. And you can see it's coming out there in millimeters. All right, that's good. I'm not going to put any dimensions in there. I'm going to escape the rectangle. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a formula in here by a dimension. And I'm going to select this dimension and place it in there. But instead of putting a number, I'm going to put the hashtag. And it allows me to bring up the variables. And we're going to have, going across in a vertical direction, we're going to have columns. And I'm going to put in here times 2. So columns, or excuse me, times 8 millimeters. So it's going to come out to be a number. 2 times 8 is 16. So it's going to bring the columns from the parameters and fill in the value that I needed. So if I change the columns to 3, then this will automatically adjust to 24. Once I have that, I hit enter, and you see it reads 16. I'm going to do the same thing over here, except I want to put it on the left side because this is the one that I am going to be stationary, coming from the origin. And we're going to, again, put in the hashtag, and I'm going to choose rows, and I'm going to put times 8 millimeters. And again, this is going to be, since rows are set to 4 times 8 is going to be 32. So it's automatically pulling the parameters that we need to make the size. So if I change it to 6, it will automatically adjust to 48. So now it is fully constrained, and I will go ahead and exit the sketch. Now, if you right-click, if you come over here, you can go to the isometric view, and we can see it there. And I'm going to turn off the visibility of these planes. And I'm going to leave the origin on for the right now. We'll turn that visibility off later on. But I'm going to go ahead and extrude this profile, and we'll go in the upward direction. It will be blind, but for the depth, again, I'm going to put a formula, and this is going to be the height. And we're going to multiply by 3.2 millimeters. So everything is the length and width is always going to be based upon 8 millimeters, and the height is always going to be based on some variable of 3.2 millimeters. And so now that is going to be 9.6 because the height is set to 3. 3 times 3.2 is 9.6. So we'll go ahead and accept this. The next thing I want to do is to put the knob that is on the top here. And I'm going to use a sketch and formulas for that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch on this surface. And I'm going to look straight at that surface so I can see it. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a circle on here. Now, this circle is going to be 4.8 millimeters, so we'll go ahead and put that in there. So I have a size for it. And I'm going to zoom up so you can see it better. And I would like to see them in a situation where I can read the dimensions easy. So I'm going to move it off the screen away from the part so it's easy to see. But as you know, it's not defined yet. It's still blue. I can move it around. So I haven't defined the location. So I need 2 more dimensions. So we're going to come from the center to the bottom. And we're going to put it right in the middle of a 1x1 block, which is 8x8. So it's going to put it right in the middle at 4 millimeters. And I'm going to do the same thing horizontally. And we're going to put this at 4 millimeters. So again, you see the sketch is fully constrained. And we go ahead and set the dimensions. So we're going to go ahead and finish this. And again, I will go to the isometric view. You can click on this tab here and go that way, or you can click over here and go to isometric. But there is my circle, and I'm going to go ahead and extrude that circle. And we're going to come up a distance of 1.6 millimeters. 1.6. And we'll accept that. Now we are going to create a pattern. And the pattern, again, has to be based upon the parameters that we set. And this is a little bit of a challenge, so we want to make sure that we get it correct. So we're going to go to linear parameter. We're going to be adding parts to it. And right now it's adding, it's the part. I don't want to do that. I want to go to feature. I want to select the feature. So we're not copying the whole part. We're copying just a feature. And we're only going to choose extrusion 2. So only extrusion 2 is selected. We're going to select a direction. And I'm going to select this edge right here. So now you see the direction in there. And we're going to put a distance of 8 millimeters for the distance. But the number of instances will be rows. So I'm going to put in here asterisk, the hashtag, rows. You can type it in or select it, either one. And when we do that, now you see it's gone out and found 4 of them and put 4 of them in there. I'm going to go ahead and select a second direction. And this time I'm going to go in this direction. And again, we're going to set it at 8 millimeters. And I'm going to set the instances to columns. So again, I'm going to put the hashtag and I'm going to choose columns. Now, if it goes off the page, you can flip the arrow and you see it's going in the wrong direction. So if it's going in the wrong direction, just flip the arrow to get it to go in the right direction. And that will be good. So now if we change the parameters, the number of knobs will adjust also. So everything should be set up. We have only 1 linear pattern. If you stop and start a new one, you will have 2, and that will create problems for you. So we did it all in 1 linear pattern with a first direction and a second direction. So we'll go ahead and click the check mark. The next thing I want to do is to turn it over and look underneath it. But before I do, I'm going to make a few more changes. I'm going to right-click on the part, and I'm going to rename the part. And we're going to rename it exactly the way it is up here. So we're going to put 2x4x3 blue brick with your initials in there. All right. So the next thing we will do is turn it over. So I'm going to flip it over, clicking on that corner. And I'm going to go to the shell feature. And I'm going to select this bottom surface, and we're going to shell it out. And I'm going to put it at 1.6. And that will give me a 1.6 border around it. Now, the actual Lego is going to be thinner, and it's going to have some ribs in there, but that gets to be a lot extra features. And so we're going to keep it a little bit simpler than that. So the ribs are 1.6, but anyway, we'll go with this. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. Now I want to click on the underside features. And so I'm going to go ahead and select another sketch, and I'm going to select on this surface right here. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it this way so I can look at the bottom. And I want you to pay attention where the origin is. So that is the origin. But the first thing I want to do is project 3 circles in here. So I'm going to go back to the isometric view. And remember, here's the origin. So we're working on this corner right here. And we're going to put that piece on the bottom right here. But I'm going to go to this tool right here that is going to use or project or convert geometry from an existing part onto my sketch. So I'm going to project the edges down. And so I'm going to select 3 circles. I'm going to select this circle, and you can see it's been projected down to the sketch. I'm going to select this circle. That one has been projected down, and I'm going to select this circle. And so now I have 3 sketches on the bottom. So I can escape the use there and go back to the bottom view. And again, I'm paying attention to where the origin is. That's going to be important as we build the brick, because we want to make sure everything in these linear patterns are going in the same direction. So at this point, I'm going to draw a circle. And I'm just going to put it in here in the middle. And I'm not going to put any dimensions on it because I want it tied to these other existing circles. So we're going to use the tangent constraint. And I want to make this blue circle tangent to that circle. This blue circle tangent to that circle. And I'm continuing to selecting in pairs. This blue circle tangent to that circle. And so that defines it. So the piece on the bottom will wedge between the 3 knobs on the top and lock it in place. Now, these 3 circles right here I'm going to change them to construction lines. So that they are no longer part of the sketch. And so now they're a dashed line, they're a construction line. I am going to put one more circle in the middle here. And I want to make it concentric. And we're going to go ahead and make this 4.8 millimeters. And it should turn black if it's concentric. If it's not, you're going to have to come in here and make them concentric. And again, I want the dimensions to be easy to read. So I'm going to move it out here so I can easily read it and understand what it's pointing to. All right, I'm going to turn it to the view right here so we can see a little better what's happening here. Just so I can see the bottom and see what's happening. We're going to go ahead and finish the sketch. And I'm going to go ahead and extrude this center portion right here. And you can see it's now going in that direction. But I don't want to go in that direction. I'm going to change this blind and go up to next. And that goes in the upward direction, but right now it's pointing down and there's nothing in that direction. So I'm going to reverse the arrow and it will go up to the top surface. And so I don't have to worry about a dimension for that, which is good. So when I change it to a plate, that will automatically adjust in height as well. So we'll go ahead and click that check mark. I'm going to go ahead to the bottom view. And again, keeping track of where the origin is. So from the origin, I measured this way. And from the origin, I measured to the right. So we're going to create another user parameter. Excuse me, not a user parameter, but another pattern out of this. So I'll go to the linear pattern. Again, I'm going to change it to a feature. And I'm going to select this extrusion 3. So extrusion 3 is selected there. And I'm going to go ahead and select a direction. And notice it is at 25 millimeters. I'm going to put it at 8 millimeters. And when I do, I'm going to change this to rows. And apparently I didn't get, let me put the asterisk in there, hashtag rows. And apparently I didn't get the direction in there. Let me select it again. And it's gone back to a linear pattern and selecting everything. So we have to go back and delete extrusion number 1 out. We only want extrusion number 3. So only extrusion number 3 should be up here. And we're going to create edges. Now, I put in here rows. And notice that there are 4 of them, which is correct because we have 4 rows. But we always need 1 less than that, because if there's 4 knobs, there's only going to be 3. If there's 5, there'll be 4. If there's 6, there'll be 5. So I'm going to change this formula in here. And I'm just going to click one time and move it in there. And I'm going to put -1. And we will go ahead and accept that. So now it's going to be 3. It's 4 minus 1. I'm going to go ahead and hit a second direction. And we're going to select the second direction from the origin on this edge right here. And again, we're going to set this at 8 millimeters. And for this one, I'm going to put hashtag columns. And if I do, there should be 2 of them. So I'm just going to click outside here a minute. And you see 2 of them, and they're going in the right direction. So again, if they're going in the wrong direction, going past the origin, we need to reverse it because I need to make sure they're moving away from the origin and down from the origin. But just like we did before, I'm going to click in there, move the arrow key to the end, and I'm going to put -1. So it's going to be reduced to 1. And I'm going to hit the arrow key again, and it's going to go in the right direction. So I'm just going to double check that. And I'm going to put in there 12 just for the fun of it. Can't subtract 12 from there. Let's go back to just take it out. And we have it going in the right direction. So I want to make sure it is going in the right direction. I'll put -1 back in there again. All right, so everything looks good. And I'm going to go ahead and accept that. So now we have our Lego brick. The next thing I want to do is I want to apply some materials to this. So I'm going to come down to the part. And I'm going to right click. And I'm going to assign a material to it. And right now we have none. And I'm going to scroll down, and there is one called in here nylon. And it's not nylon like clothes, but it's more of like a plastic, and it can be extruded. And we're going to use the nylon. All right, I'll go ahead and check the checkbox. I can right click again, edit the appearance this time. And right now it's set for this color. I'm just going to change it to this color. And we're going to go ahead and click the check mark. So now I have a blue brick, a 2x4x3 blue brick. Now, before I do it any farther, I'm going to go ahead and check the system and see that it works. So to check it, what I'm going to do is change these numbers, and then I will change them back. So let me hit the escape key. I'm going to double click on this, and I'm going to change this to 8 and click OK. And the brick adjusted. I'm going to change the columns to 4. Click the check mark. The brick adjusted. I'm going to change the height to 1 to make it a plate. Click the check mark, and the brick adjusted. So now we have a height of 1, 8 going across, 4 to the right. And if I look underneath, everything is there as good as well. Except there's one little problem here. And we will come back and fix that. I'm going to go ahead and set these numbers back. And we're going to go ahead and set that back to 4. I'm going to set this to 2. And I'm going to set this to 3. And when I created this part, let me go ahead and edit this part. That's going to be in this linear pattern. All right, that's good. There was no choice there. So we'll go ahead and leave it like this for right now. As you can see, when I created this linear pattern, these all came out as separate features. If I go back and edit this, that's because this was set to new. I'm going to set it to add, and I'm going to click the check mark. And now that becomes all the same feature and all the same part. So that was a minor adjustment that I forgot to do. But when we edit that, we created a new feature rather than adding them in. So I had to make sure I select add. And that solved the problem.